Hello and welcome back to another update of this Norfolk Island pine that I bonsaied. In a previous video, I showed that I had cut off the trunk entirely and it was just a stump pretty much. Well, it wasn't really a stump, it was extending up to here and that was it. It was just a stick. There was no branches on it. Same thing with this one. And this one I did not top. This one's pretty much looked the same except I cut the branches off here and then the branch grew new branches. The top part, this part has actually grown, but I didn't actually top this. This has just gotten bigger. So my focus here is on these two, but I'm gonna probably talk about just this one because these are basically the same. This one's just bigger. So this one here in a previous video, I showed that going all the way up the trunk here, there's all these little needles on it, and you can see they're all brown. And then about the last 3 inches up here are the needles are still green. So the only thing that was green left on this stem was just these needles, and there was, after about 2 months after I topped this whole thing, little tiny buds started appearing where the needles are. That's why it's really important if you're going to bonsai a Norfolk Island pine that you don't cut off so much to where there's no green left on it. If the needles are brown, it's probably not going to work out. You're probably not going to be able to get any growth back and you're just going to kill it. So there's the same thing with this one here. There's a little bit of green needles left, so I only cut to that point. And I made it so that they'd be different lengths, and you can kind of see, if I step back, they actually kind of look like a little cluster of palm trees you see at the beach, or seeing a photo or something like that. I actually kind of like it. It's not a bonsai pot, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, you can see it's kind of nice. The whole top here is basically fanning out, is growing new branches. It doesn't really have a new trunk per se that it's growing, except for maybe this might turn into a trunk. It's hard to say at this point because it's leaning towards the window. So it's kind of blending in. Same thing with this one here, and maybe this. But what I am going to do is I'm going to keep the shape going. I'm going to cut anything off that's growing upwards. I'm just going to keep the branches. So I'm going to keep it small and keep a palm tree kind of a shape because I kind of like that. So as you can see, Norfolk Island pine, it took a long time for it to recover after pruning it, but it worked out. I'm fairly surprised at how well it actually worked. It just took longer. Now, in the previous video, I talked about why I did this. Well, the main reason is because I'm kind of into bonsais. But this pot here that's been in pretty much the whole time, the root ball, the root mass, the big soil clump that's in here, it was starting to rise up and the soil was starting to spill over the side. And that's an indication that the roots are becoming root bound. And down at the bottom of it, down in here, there was a big cluster of roots just circling around and around and around, and it was just a big thick clump. So when I pruned this whole cluster here, when I pruned all this up top, I also pulled the clump out and I basically just ripped off all the roots off of the clump, but I didn't take the clump apart, didn't do anything, I left that alone. There's one thing about when you bonsai trees or plants, if you are dealing with a plant that's kind of sensitive or slow growing, you probably don't want to prune everything all at once. Meaning you don't want to prune the roots, take it apart and mess with all that, and top prune really heavily. It's better to do one or the other. So either top prune or just root prune, let it recover and then do something else. Because that's how I killed my giant redwood sequoia tree. Well, it wasn't actually giant, but I bonsaied it, and it didn't really work out too well. It's pretty much slowly died and never really recovered. I got a little overzealous with it, and that just happened. So that's about it for this update. I know some people were looking for this update on the Norfolk Island pine. I hope you like it. If you're new to this channel, this is mostly a horticultural channel. My main content is really testing grow lights and comparing grow lights. So if you're interested, go ahead and click subscribe. I'm going to be coming out with some more videos in the future about grow lights. I got some more coming down the pipes here within the next couple months. A bunch more videos actually. So it's all in the works. It's going to take some time, but I hope you enjoy this content in between. And thanks for watching.